Welcome to the Three Path Profits podcast, where we'll talk about business, finance, social media, and everything in between on our paths to profit. Three different people, three different side hustles, one common goal profit. My name
My
is
name is
Kyle,
Lexi.
My name is Amanda.
and we're your hosts. If you want more details about each of our side hustles, please check out our episode 7 from last week. To set the proper expectations for today's episode, our format will be as follows. We will start today's pod, each discussing our updates from our experiences over the last week and what our goals are for the upcoming week. We'll wrap up today's pod with a quick summary and some expectations moving forward. Let's dive in. First, we'll hear from Lexi.
Wait. Before Lexi talks, should we tell them what we're doing next week?
I think so.
We're all going to be in the same place so we can film together.
Live
Yay!
film set. No more Zoom.
Actually,
How will we-
two weeks in a row.
Yeah.
We actually didn't even talk about how we're gonna do that. Like, are we still gonna all have like our computer set up, or are we gonna have one computer set up? Because
That's a good question.
you know what I
I'd
mean?
say let's just do one computer because I have a dual monitor.
We can do that.
Yeah, and I can.
You know what I mean? Because like we still want to record it, even though we're all like
Yeah.
in the
For
same
sure.
room.
Yeah.
Exciting.
I guess it could be like one with like a side profile of us three, like all looking at each other
True.
Oh, I like that.
with like our laptops.
We got some options here.
Yeah, I like it. Exciting.
Heck yeah.
All right.
All right, Lex, jump in.
Okay. So last week, how we talked about the putting on the sale for the bookmark. So I did put the sale on for 30%. However, for the sales, you have to do a 30 days. Like you can't put any longer than 30 days. I know we were kind of like one ended in a couple hours and then we didn't have a date for the others that you were looking at, Amanda. But the longest that you can run a sale is 10 days or 30 days. And then I also put with the thank you email that sends out whenever an individual places an order, it also sends them a 10% code for my shop as like a thank you. And that does not have an end date. So anytime they get that, like they can use that 10% for anything on my shop. And it's just like whatever they want from the shop. And then I also did the same thing with whenever individuals put something into their cart, but then they don't actually go ahead and buy it. I'd like it kind of gives them like a little nudge and then it'll send them like a message saying like here's a 10% off discount for your order like that's awaiting to be placed or whatever like and like it'll give them like automatically 10% off to like use that code.
That's cool.
So I haven't obviously I put that on probably midway through the week, so I didn't really see anything like results from it yet, but I'll keep you guys like posted on if anything actually comes off of those.
I wonder with the sale, I wonder if it like automatically does it if it's within like the next 24 hours, if that's when it says ends in blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I mean, because like I can view obviously my shop as like a customer,
The consumer. Yeah.
but I haven't really looked at that to see if it actually I just know it
Yeah.
says that there's a sale going on whenever I look at like any listings that I have. But I mean it is nice that at least it's 30 days. I don't have to worry about it for 30 days. I can just go ahead and put another sale on when 30 days is over. Because yeah, I mean, whenever I'm looking at it right now, it doesn't say the sale has so but so kind of like numbers wise, I had 28 visits in the last 7 days, which is really like still very high and astronomical from prior. Obviously, like with posting it on my Instagram and things like that, obviously that brought in a lot of traffic. But with not having posted on my Instagram or really like any other promotion like ideas, having that like amount of traffic still coming in obviously is very hopeful. And I'm not really sure if like anything else has really changed other than like my first order. So maybe that has something to do why I'm getting more traffic in still, or if people are just still talking about it from prior. So I'm not really sure which one it is, but either way, I'm still happy with the numbers. And then Amanda, please leave a review with the bookmark whenever you get it. I know it is delivered. She just needs to go pick it up from her mailbox.
Awful at checking my mail.
Yeah. So then once she does review it, I'm going to post that review to my Instagram, both on my Anything Cricket Co. Instagram and then also my personal Instagram as well, just to kind of show that I'm not like a complete scam and people like, even if I do know them and they are like friends of mine or even acquaintances that I still know that I follow through Instagram, that they can order it and then it's not just like a scammer profile that I'm promoting. Because I know
I'll do it tomorrow.
a lot of, I think like with like the workout tips and this, that, and the other, like a lot of people I think get turned off by like people trying to promote too much or saying like, please buy this, please buy this. So I'm just trying to show people that I am reliable. Um, and then I did find through Etsy's like marketing page, they have like on your like shop dashboard, they have a bunch of like things that you can look into. And they have a like search analysis like beta program. And it shows you like exactly. All right, let me look exactly so I don't get this wrong. So it says like how many visits to your shop, how many visits resulted in a sale, average order value, total earnings through Etsy, and then where my listings were found, like through what like inquiry. So it'll say like Mrs. Wineglass or like Mrs. Wine Snob Glass, like, and then it'll show you how many impressions I had on my listings, what position I am whenever they're searching those things, how many visits I had from it, the conversion rate, and then the revenue from that. So I think that's really cool just to kind of be able to see like I know there's like a way that you can like tag little like words like wine glass or like with the bookmark I did like bookmark, I did reading, I did book, like a bunch of different like little tag words. So it's nice to see kind of what I guess my items are coming up with so I know what to name them and also what to put in the tags just to make sure that whenever people are searching them, I'm in a higher position. And then I got the stuff to make Amanda's spoon rest that we talked about last week. So I know we were kind of talking about like whether it would be good to do like engraving or what would be best with like what I have. And as I looked more into it, it would my Cricut, because of how low it is, I don't think I can fit the spoon rest underneath it, like for it to engrave in it. But I was thinking I could put resin over top of the vinyl to then completely get it to hard so that like it seals everything in. And I looked a lot into like, can you wash resin? Can you put it in the dishwasher? Can you do this? Can you do that? Like everything that I read says like it's perfectly fine to put in the dishwasher. You can like reuse it over and over again. Like nothing will be harmful of it like once it's completely cured. So I think I'm gonna do the vinyl and then put the resin over top of it. So I did get all
I
the
like it.
stuff to make it. And then in the spoon rest, it comes in a pack of 4. So I'm definitely gonna post on my Etsy shop and on my Instagram what I made for you, but also like use the Adobe Photoshop Express to kind of show like other ideas I can put on them as well. Like
I
I
like
know
it.
like a lot of them, like I've seen like Spoon Me or like Funny like Kitchen, like things like that. So
Mhm.
um and then kind of off of like the inquiries and like the words I was talking about, I've just been kind of looking on Etsy like what's selling and trending to see if there's anything like I think I could like make and sell off of what's really trending right now. And just to kind of see like if I want to do anything on like the Adobe Photoshop Express just to say like hey, I could make this so I don't have to buy another item and then make that. So I'm just kind of really trying to do like research and then also focus on like promotion once I start obviously getting the reviews and making those different items as well. So, kind of my goals from here on out are to make Amanda Spoon Rest and then post that on Etsy, Instagram, post the review that Amanda gives, post everything on all Instagram platforms. Continue looking to see what my stats are, just see week by week basis um, what changes on whenever I'm posting, like how much more does it go up. Obviously, we know it does go up at least a little bit from the past experience, but I don't know if now that it's not the shock of like, ooh, she's doing something, like I want to go be nosy and check it out, if like the rise still continues to stay the same or kind of see how that is. So I'm intrigued to see how that goes. And also to kind of really keep track of if the discount codes and like the sales that I'm having out actually make a difference.
I like it.
One of my questions I had was, how do you think offering a sale is going to make a difference? And then two, have you thought about like how you're going to price something knowing that you're going to offer a discount and still be able to make a profit on it? Because I know that you have been aggressive on pricing, and we've talked about that in the past about how you should let the market
Mhm.
set the price and price things higher. But just knowing that you're going to be offering a percentage discount, that's something to keep in mind when you're pricing. Have you thought about that at
Yeah,
all?
I think knowing that I'm going to be having the sale, I think I obviously will be pricing everything higher. I think I'm really going to focus on what I guess the price I would want ideally in my head is, and then add 30%
Right.
from that just to see, okay, then
Hmm.
this is what it could be, and then kind of go from there. Obviously, like we had a very in-depth discussion last week about like pricing and that whatnot. So I think definitely I'll start higher and then also continue to do research on what other people are selling them as, because not that I want to be like super, super competitive, but I think with having the sale, the free shipping, and kind of at least around the same ballpark, I think that'll make me stand out more with those different things.
My one question is, have you thought about making reels on Instagram and or potentially even making a TikTok account for your Anything Cricket Co. just because it's really easy. I mean, it's not really easy, but like it's a lot easier to go viral in that aspect than it is for someone to start liking and buying your stuff on Etsy, like viral wise. I feel like your best way to attract.
It's a good point. It's a good point. I mean, you're tapping a larger
Yeah.
market base and more potential customers just by getting your product in front of
Right.
people on a different platform. It's very
Yeah.
smart.
I definitely,
And you could just prop up your phone while you're
yeah.
doing stuff and just you immediately get content just from filming what you're doing.
And
And like to start, just like I make the comment with Amanda, don't worry about like the quality. Like
yeah,
if it is literally just like no cuts, you're just like putting it up there, filming you. You're not like changing
yeah,
angles or like making it all super
yeah.
aesthetic. Just like documentation is the content you're looking for.
Plot twist: Lexi's social media takes off faster than mine does.
Oh, it does. I have thought, I definitely was thinking about the reels over the TikTok. Like I hadn't even really thought about TikTok, but I definitely had thought about doing reels on Instagram. I think obviously just because I don't have much of a following right now, but obviously you have to start somewhere. I just also haven't made any content with it, but I definitely did think about doing the reels and just like taking random videos of
I mean, you have pictures of stuff, like a picture of my bookmark, picture of Amanda's bookmark, a picture of the stuff you've made for the wedding, like even just like a
yeah,
compilation video with like music over it is an easy reel that you can
yeah,
put up.
Yeah, I just from personal experience, it's much easier to get a larger following on TikTok than it is on Instagram.
yeah.
Is my only advice there, and that to add to what Kyle was saying a minute ago, honestly, I would video yourself actually making the stuff. Next time when you make my spoon thing,
Yeah.
when you make whatever you make next, just video yourself doing it and cut little clips and just put a reel together.
I'm definitely like,
Even if you just put it on Instagram, it's still better than,
yeah.
not doing it
Honestly, I
at
think
all.
I might make a TikTok, especially with doing the spoon rest and like doing the resin and stuff. I see people working with resin all the time on
Yeah.
TikTok. So I think like posting it from there and just making an Anything Cricket Co TikTok at that point, and then also post it on my Instagram like you do for your food videos and whatnot from Cooking Depot. So I think I'll probably just say screw it and make the Anything Cricket Co TikTok just to at least have it link the Etsy shop in there and just kind of go from there. But yeah, I think I definitely could just put a bunch of pictures together because I have made a bunch of random stuff here and there that I definitely could also just add a bunch of pictures like that as well.
I will say that if you're going to put pictures together to make a reel, it is better to use Instagram
Mhm.
because
And I will add to that further. I think Lexi's more suited to Instagram than TikTok because your niche of like
niche.
people who like food niche, I call it
It's
niche. That's what I'm
niche.
going to continue to call
Okay.
it. The people who you're trying to engage with, I think, are more people you don't know. Whereas a lot of Lexi's success, especially early on, is going to be making personalized
For
items,
sure.
which are mainly going to be demanded by people she knows, or at least by people who know people she
Yeah.
knows. And I think Instagram has a lot more of that personal connection.
Yeah.
And I just think that's a better place to start with what she's trying to achieve.
It's fair.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, it's why the hell not with TikTok as well. I mean, I could just do both, kind of
Yeah.
give a little taste to both, and then obviously, I think with already having my Instagram and like being able to post that to my like repost it from my Anything Cricket Co to my personal, I'd probably focus a little bit still more on my Instagram, but I still think I should make the TikTok at least just to have and then be able to post on there whenever I want to as well.
Mm-hmm.
I had another comment I wrote down is more of an idea. Just getting orders on the site. When you said, I don't know if it made a difference, but getting the one order and the more people visiting the site, I think there's a definite
Yeah.
correlation there. I mean, the more times that Etsy's having success selling your products, the more Etsy's going to push your
Yeah.
product.
Mm-hmm.
So, like an idea I had is post an item, a cheap item, something that you can make for under $1 and less than like 5 minutes per item, and sell it for $1 and get 100 people that close friends or relatives, or even have like me and Amanda buy like 10 of them, right? So that you get 100 orders of people buying items off of your site to have Etsy push it, and then really pursue all those people who buy the items to leave a review. That's going to spike your reviews.
Yeah.
It's going to spike your visits to your site, and it's going to spike your orders, and it's going to trick the search beta algorithm to really start pushing the rest of your
Yeah.
stuff.
I like it. Tell me when I'll hit buy.
That's what I'm saying. Like if it is literally something
Yeah.
super easy and simple, and I wrote this down without having time to think of any ideas of what it could be, but something like literally something even stupidly simple that
Yeah.
you can make in split second. It's cheap, but it has like a personal touch that somebody would want to.
Yeah. I'll do some research on kind of what would be like a small, simple thing to do and kind of go from there.
Did you, not that you have to, it was just like my random idea last week. Did you think any more about doing the Pound Cup thing?
Yeah, I like the idea, but I don't know. I guess I just haven't really I haven't really thought it more on the I like the idea. Like that's kind of where as far as I got with it. Um I think I'm more focusing on right now like the spoon rest idea just cuz I got the stuff to make it and obviously resin isn't that cheap, so I'm trying to kind of limit my how much I'm spending as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another reason why you should focus on like the super
Yeah.
cheap items to get people to buy
Yeah.
it. It's super easy. It's low risk because you might put $100 on a purchase off
Yeah.
Amazon and then spend 2 hours customizing a
Yeah.
hundred of them, and you're only in for $100 in
Yeah.
2 hours,
Yeah.
right?
The problem with that, though, I think you're going to run into is when you're selling something that cheap, people aren't going to want to pay shipping, especially like a $5.99 shipping or whatever it was
Yeah.
for a $1 item.
A lot
So
of them, I think.
I just don't want Lex to go in the red for shipping costs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think at that point
Mm,
I would have to make it a little bit more than $1. I
Yeah.
would
yeah, charge
yeah,
$5.
I'd have to do probably like 5 because you pay for
Yeah.
shipping, it's gonna be like $4 because I know it's not going to be that expensive.
And if
But
it's local people, do they have to pay for shipping if you can take it yourself?
That is true. One time I picked up something for like Jolie's sister or something. She got one of those, the like Spotify, the clear things when you put
Oh,
the picture
yeah.
on it. Her sister got one for her boyfriend for Christmas. It was like a couple years ago, and it was right by where mom lives. So I was like, I'll pick it up for you. I don't care. And I literally went to the woman's house and picked it up.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to like make a comment.
So I mean, if like 5 of your friends and they're all in the same friend group all
Yeah.
buy it and you're gonna meet up
Yeah.
with them, don't have them pay shipping,
Right.
don't have you pay shipping. They're already coming to
Yeah.
your house.
Right.
Yeah, I would say I could even like leave a little note in like the product description, like if close and would prefer to pick up, I can arrange like no shipping, free shipping.
Is there a pickup option on Etsy?
I don't think there's a pickup option. I think
That would be a cool feature if they had like you had to put in your address and it had to be within a certain radius.
yeah. But I'm sure like
Etsy, are you listening? You should make that happen.
I'm sure like if an individual set like they're reading the product description and it says like if you would prefer to pick it up, um they could message me because they can see that it ships from New Kensington.
Okay.
So like you can see on like I'm viewing it as I'm like a customer like right now, one of my
Mhm.
posts or listings, and it says ships from New Kensington, PA. So I would say like they could like I know you can message a buyer even prior to ordering something. So like they can message me and say, hey, could I just pick it up if it's noted in the product description that it would be like no shipping if they picked it up.
Good
I
idea.
like it.
That's all I got for you,
Yeah,
Chief.
that's all I got too.
You're
Sending
up,
them up.
Kyle.
Cool. All right, little portfolio update to start. Net value of the account is $1,000.08, which is a 0.8% return overall since we started a little over 2 weeks ago.
It's in the green.
This past,
All that
it's in the
matters.
green. It's in the green. Hell yeah! Officially or unofficially, have made our first profit.
Well, no, it was in the green 2 weeks ago. Just last week was in the red.
Correct, but it's still unofficial because I haven't sold any of the positions, so it's not a locked-in gain.
Okay.
So it's a paper profit.
Yeah.
It's not an official profit yet, but it's still good. It's in the green. That's what we like to see. And last week, our portfolio was in the green as well. It was up 0.59%, and it was did a little less than the S&P. The S&P was up over 2%, mainly led by NVIDIA. Best performers in my portfolio were Blackstone, which was up 7% last week. Love to see that. The TLT was up 3%, and Bank of America was up close to 3% as well. Worst performers, Kraft Heinz and Ford are repeats on this list. They were bad performers last week as well. 2 consecutive weeks in the red. You can look at that as the market's not happy with the company or the price is on sale. Just interesting to note that those two were both on the same list last week. So hopefully they can turn it around. Dividends coming up. This hasn't changed. The next dividends to get are Kraft Heinz, which pays 40 cents a share. That comes out on the 28th of June. And then Bank of America also has their dividend on the same date for 24 cents a share. And then Coca-Cola is the 1st of July for 48 cents a share. So my dividends coming up on those dates are as follows. Kraft Heinz, I have 2.8686 shares because you can own fractional shares. You don't have to own a whole share. Multiply that by the 40-cent dividend per share. I'm going to get $1.15 on the 28th from Kraft Heinz. Bank of America, similar situation, 2.3261 shares times the 0.24 dividend per share gets me 56 cents on the 28th as well. And then Coca-Cola, 1.623 shares at 48 cents a share is 78 cents on the 1st of July. So those will be the first dividends in the portfolio. They're small, but that is the power of compounding. It starts small and grows as time goes on. And I do have the portfolio set up where those dividends will be reinvested, buying more shares at the market price when I receive the dividend.
Within that same stock, like Ford reinvests in Ford.
Yep. Yeah, the Kraft Heinz $1.15 will go back into Kraft Heinz. The 56 cents from Bank of America will go back into Bank of America, and the 78 cents from Coca-Cola will go back into Coca-Cola.
Could you set it up differently where it goes into different ones or like all into one?
I've only ever seen the option to reinvest in the same stock. The only other option is to just have it be deposited as cash into your buying power or your brokerage account. So like either it just shows up as like a cash or a buying power on your account, or it just automatically reinvests.
I'm sorry, you probably said this. What is PFE?
Pfizer.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And an example I have down here just to show the power of dividends is if you had $1,000 in Kraft Heinz, it's $35 a share. That gets you around 28 shares. That gets you that would get you $11 as a dividend on the 28th. And then for Bank of America, if you had $1,000 invested in them, it would come to around 25 and a half shares, and that would get you $6. So kind of puts it into perspective. The numbers definitely grow as the principal value and grows. And that's what you want to see consistently month after month, year over year. The amount of dividends that you're getting from the company is growing. So earnings reports up next. I did wrongly state last week as I re-listened to the last one. I said Bank of America was going to come out on 6/16. It's actually 7/16, not 6/16. So don't have any earnings reports to go over. But all this list is the same. Bank of America will be the first one that I do a fine tooth comb deep dive through, and that will be in the middle of July. Following that would be Blackstone, Pfizer, and Ford on July 26th. Coca-Cola on the 30th of July, Prudential for the 1st of August, and Kraft Heinz on the 2nd of August. Again, those are the reports that they put out their financial reports. They say what they did in revenue, profit, cash flow. Then they give a bunch of estimates for the following quarter and an update on their goals for the year. So it's a good gauge of the health and performance of the company over the past quarter and a pulse on how they feel they're going to perform the rest of the quarter and year. So it will be great once those start being added to part of the pod. A little micro update here. I'm going to start doing this a little more in depth and start spending some more time in this section of my kind of go through. A little bit of a deeper dive on Kraft Heinz just to give some general information. It trades at $32.67 a share. It is down close to 11% over the past year. So it's been underperforming. I think the S&P is up over like 22% over the past year for comparison. So really underperforming the broader market. It has a $1.60 dividend per share annually. So paying that $32.67 gets you $1.60 in income over that year in the form of a dividend. The market cap for Kraft Heinz currently is $39.67 billion. So that is how valuable the company is. That'd be like if you wanted to buy the company, that's kind of like a number that you would have to pay for it, for example. Then the EPS, earnings per share. This is a very common metric. And then price to earnings. Those are two really common metrics people look at in terms of valuing a company. Kraft Heinz earnings are $3.03 for the forward-looking fiscal year, and their price to earnings on that EPS number is a 10.79. In further episodes, I'll deep dive a little more into why EPS is important, how to measure it, how to compare it. Same thing with PE ratios. but those are the numbers for now. Some intangibles on the stock. I like them because they have strong brands, and I'm a personal fan. Discussed in the past how you can't really go wrong investing in companies that you're happy with as a consumer. They have a good value proposition that you believe in, and you're spending your hard-earned dollars to purchase. Obviously, they're doing something right. Kraft Heinz is the case there. I love Kraft mac and cheese, Velveeta mac and cheese, Heinz ketchup. Literally just had some Heinz ketchup for dinner. Not just Heinz ketchup, but I had it with the kibasi. And then they have other brands like Jello, Capri Sun, Oscar Mayer, Philadelphia cream cheese. You probably use one or more of their products every day and don't even know it. So really strong brand presence there and a lot of brand loyalty. I know that if I see Hunt's ketchup, that's a no
Do
go
they
for me.
do they still have how do you say it? Ore-Ida fries, whatever it is that mom used to talk about.
Yes, they do. Yeah,
I didn't know.
yeah,
I
and they
didn't know
have.
that they were is Philadelphia cream cheese Kraft or a Heinz?
That was a Kraft.
I was gonna say I didn't know that. I'm curious. Can you see what the impact was from either end when they merged? Because
For
I mean,
sure,
I don't know if
absolutely.
like I mean, obviously we know that they merged because our mom works for them, but like if mom
Mhm.
didn't work for them, I probably wouldn't know that Heinz is now Kraft Heinz.
For sure. And from the company's perspective, they don't want you as the consumer to know that. I mean, that's not a piece of information they want you to know necessarily. They want you to just see the Heinz ketchup that you've always seen and still know and trust the brand. They don't want to change anything there from a customer facing perspective. But from an investor perspective, obviously, it's a huge deal. I didn't own the stock when that transition happened. Didn't own the stock until 3, 4, 5 years after the transition happened. It happened 2016 into
Oh my
2017.
god, it was that long
I
ago
didn't start,
already?
yeah.
Holy shit.
So I didn't start buying the stock until 2021. So didn't really affect me. Don't have too much extra context to add there. Maybe that's something I can get a little more information on.
Yeah, I was
Uh,
just curious stats wise, like if you knew what obviously it's gonna be different what one share's worth Kraft when they merge, what one share was worth at Heinz
yeah.
when they
So
merged, and like
when
based on that rate, did it, you know what I mean?
when a merger happens, a merger or acquisition, it's done a couple of different ways. There's a couple of different ways that a company can finance the merger or acquisition, and I don't know if it was done through, excuse me, debt financing where they raised debt and then
Honestly,
made the purchase of Kraft
you
Heinz,
should even
or if
talk
they
to
did
mom
it
about it
through.
because she was in mergers and acquisitions, wasn't she, when they merged? Yeah.
She was, but she wasn't in the merger and acquisition. She was in discussing smaller item
Mm.
brands like a Ore-Ida if they're gonna divest it, or if they wanted to purchase a smaller brand like that. She wouldn't have been involved in the complete sale of the company.
Okay.
That was a little over her head at the time. But moving on, diversity is another reason I like Kraft Heinz. They do have over 200 different brands, and they operate in over 190 countries. So that diversity piece, they're not solely relying on one economy or one country per se. So like if the US has a bad quarter or something like that, their numbers aren't solely relying on the US. They are predominantly very heavily concentrated in the US, but they do have a presence around the globe. And that is another opportunity for growth moving forward as well. Overall, they just have really steady revenue, and it has been steadily increasing since that 2021 period when I started buying. And it's been a steady dividend ever since. And they announced a $3 billion share buyback in November, December, which is really good to hear. So companies, they can, when they have extra cash on hand, they can actually go out and buy their shares back from the open market. So like they'll buy shares from investors like you and me, and that is accretive to the existing investors because when they buy my shares at the market rate, that's returning the cash to me, hopefully for a profit, or they're buying shares out of the float or the existing shares outstanding. So the earnings per share is divisible by less shares. So the EPS number I talked about earlier, which is really important, would then go up because there's, say, the same amount of earnings, but there's less shares now. So each share gets a bigger piece of that earning pie. Um, so it's always good to hear when companies do buybacks, and a $3 billion one for a $40 billion company is a pretty big deal. I think it was like some 5 or 6% of all shares outstanding they're estimating that they're going to buy back. So that should be very accretive. And overall, I give the company on a rating of 1 to 5, 1 being a strong sell, 5 being a strong buy. I would rate Kraft Heinz as a 5. They've really underperformed over the past month. They're down 9% over the past month, hence them being on the worst performer list the past 2 weeks in a row. And they're down 10% over the past year as well. They have the stable dividend, which is going to pay you while you hold it. And I do think a rebound um, is coming soon with the share buyback, rebalancing, and really starting to move in a direction of revenue growth. That has been a concern in the past, which I do think they're starting to turn the corner there. So I think this is a really good buy low and hold stock where you'll get that steady dividend and maybe some price appreciation as well. So rated a 5. I think if you have some spare cash, it's a good place to park it.
So kind of how you were talking about how Kraft and Heinz, like they came together. So prior to them, when they were separate entities, if you had shares in both of them and then they merged or one bought out the other, how does that work? Like,
Good question.
It's a great question. It's a little too in depth of an answer that I'll give right now. I would need to know the structure of the
okay.
transaction. So it would depend on if they did an equity buyout or debt financing. So like it just depends on how it was transacted. So I
I'm
just need to
I'm
look up.
curious. Can you put it on the list to talk about next week?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put it in my notes for next week.
Because like
I like that. I like that little segment you added. This little in depth go over and then like the rating of it. That's cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because
So
as far as that question,
I,
like I would
yeah.
be scared as like an individual, like if the company I had my money in just all of a sudden was like, just kidding, we're going somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like what's happening
and
to my
that's why I
money?
think the micro deep dive that I've added to my as a segment, I think is important because that how that layered information and how I presented it was the surface level stuff that I started with when looking at
Yeah.
companies. Like when I didn't look at their quarterly earnings, when I wasn't combing through financial statements or listening to an earnings call on CNBC or something like that. These were just the stats that I was looking at. And by looking at them and comparing them quarter over quarter, year over year, I just started to get an idea. I started to get the terminology and at least a brief overview of what the company was, how it's been performing, and some general ratings of analysts on the stock, which wouldn't say I'm a professional analyst because I don't get paid for it, but that is what I'm doing. I'm analyzing the stock and I'm giving my opinion on it. So that's why I added it. I know that you guys and most of the people who I think will benefit from listening to what I have to say on my portfolio are going to have that surface level knowledge and benefit from that segment moving forward. So, lastly, little macro and current events here. Stock market was closed today for June 19th. So, no action today. That usually stems more action prior and after because of the lack of ability for people to trade on this day. So Monday and Tuesday was some big activity, hit new all-time highs again. Remember last week we were talking about we were at all-time highs, hit new all-time highs as of Monday and Tuesday. And that's mainly because of NVIDIA. They became the largest company in the world, over $3 trillion. So to put that in perspective, Kraft Heinz is $40 billion. Nvidia is like 3.4 trillion or something like that. That means they're like 100 times larger, which is insane.
Yeah.
So just to put that in perspective, they became the largest company. They passed Microsoft and Apple, which are 2 and 3. And then just another current event that I've been experiencing, I don't know about you guys, is the heat wave that has been going on right now. It has been insane. And it's just, it's something to keep a pulse on, to know that whether you believe in climate change or not as a result of what's causing it, whether it's a natural phenomenon or we're having an impact on it, it's still something to be aware of. Like, the climate does change and there are impacts that has. So it's a thing to keep a note on. When it's really hot like this, people are pumping their air conditioners. Who benefits from that? Utility companies. Who also benefits from that? Dasani, water companies, people buying more water bottles. Those are all things that are events in our lives that also affect businesses. And as an investor, it's important to keep note of those things. And it's something that you might not think of. It's like, wow, it's been really hot for 2 weeks. How does that affect my investment portfolio? Just a way of thinking about life and events and all the things that go on in our world. Couple articles here from Bloomberg. I get an update from Bloomberg to my email every morning and every evening. They do a Bloomberg evening brief and Bloomberg the close. So it's basically an email format that does a summary of the market, things to look for, what happened, with some articles. And I posted 2 here. I'll read them for you. And I do have a question following this up. To get workers back to the office, bosses have dangled fancy coffee, yoga, classes, DJ parties, but all that still hasn't been enough. So firms are giving employees a more traditional perk, a desk of their own, hot desking or hoteling, where workers get a desk when they show up instead of having a permanent one. It isn't new, but really took off during the pandemic as a way for companies to save money amid a new era of hybrid work. Now, some firms are realizing that they may have gone too far. That is from the Bloomberg Evening Brief. The question I have is, if an employer offered you $60,000 where you had to report in person Monday through Friday, or $45,000 100% remote, which are you taking and why?
I would say my easy answer would be the remote option, but I just have more comments than my easy answer for that. I just think that in-person work has changed so much, and I'm so far removed from the corporate world, and I still see it. Like, growing up, whenever I used to go to take your child to work day with mom, it was a completely different atmosphere. Like, everyone had their own little cubicle. You had your own desk. You had your pictures. You had your things at your desk. And now,
It's almost home away from home.
yes, and your space, and now you're just at a community table where you don't have any peace and quiet. It's in a big open room with groups of tables here, groups of tables here. It's just totally different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, as someone who's both, like, I have my own desk. I have my, like, don't get me wrong, like, it's in a larger area, but everyone in that larger area has their own space. But I also can be remote. I mean, personally, if we're looking at it strictly money-wise, then obviously you would have to go in person. But then it also depends on how long your commute is. It depends on, like, the time that you're giving, and also how many miles you're putting on your car, how much gas it's taking to get there. So I think there's a lot of, you need more on, like, details on what actually this, yeah, you
There's
need,
Context.
more
Yeah.
variables.
yeah.
That's
And
why I
and
posed the
even like if
question.
you're working remote, how many hours are you actually working? Because if when you're working remote, you're working less hours and you can do other things, then that plays into it too. There's a lot of variables.
Yeah.
For sure. And that's why I posed the question, because it is a really interesting topic. Most people our age, even a little older, are all grappling with, and companies are grappling with it on the other side of things is they want people back in the office. And there's a lot of people who want to be back in the office. There's more people who don't. And it's this weird dynamic of there are a lot of people who would only come back into the office for a significant pay increase. But then there are a lot of people who value the benefits of going into the office who would take it at a less of a pay increase. But you do have to consider all those things, like Lexi was alluding to, the gas money, the opportunity cost of spending a 45-minute both way commute. That's an hour and a half of your time in addition to the miles you're putting on your car, getting new tires, the depreciation, the annual inspections, all of those things add up, and they are real accounting costs and economic costs in terms of opportunity cost, that need to be considered when choosing those. But there are benefits to being in person in a work office setting that at least someone like me would be interested in, like workplace, person, relationship growth, like meeting people, meeting connections, the connection of sitting face to face with a colleague and working on a project together is not the same as hopping on a Zoom call.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I hate like
the
meetings through like Zoom and
Yeah, Zoom.
WebEx and this,
Yeah,
that, and the other. Like, I get so sidetracked. I'm like, I want to be able to actually see you and talk to you and like have an in-person
just
conversation.
like at the beginning of the pod, like we're excited to be able to do the pod in
Yeah.
person for a reason. Like it's just a different experience when you're in person with people, feeling their energy versus talking through a computer screen. It's a different experience. And like our parents, when we went to take your child to work day, think about all the times like mom had a happy hour or a work event or this or that or the other thing that were really fun things that made working at a company enjoyable and was an added benefit that didn't show up in your salary or your paycheck. Those are all benefits to consider, as well as the costs of like all the other things that we talked about. So I thought it was an interesting article.
I like, yeah,
Just food.
that I like that topic, and I think one other key thing that needs to be thrown in there is how old someone is, and that their age is going to depend on what their answer is, because depending on when they entered the workforce is going to depend on what their answer is. Because if they entered the workforce post COVID, like when everything was online, you bet your ass they're going to say the remote job. Anyone that's never worked,
I'd push back there. I'd push back there. Most people that I know in my space have, and you can rationalize this in your head of like the only thing they know has been remote.
yeah,
They went remote all of college. They went remote all of this, all of that. They actually want to be in person. A lot of them now.
okay,
They miss the human connection
okay,
piece. A 25-year-old who is right out of college, just got their MBA. They just spent the last 4.5, 5 years doing remote shit. They're eager to get into the office.
okay.
And I would push back on that a
I
little bit, but I do see a lot of people are on the other side of that
I see
coin
both
too.
sides of it, especially because a lot of people these days don't have good social skills because of everything that's
Because
changed
yes.
with technology
Mhm.
and remote. Like, they can't have a good face-to-face conversation anymore because they're so used to doing everything over the screen or over just
Yeah.
texting or whatever. Like, they don't actually have to sit down and have that face-to-face conversation. And especially if you're meeting someone for the first time, like for even an interview, an over the phone interview and an in-person interview are so different. Like, I get so nervous for an in-person interview as opposed to a Zoom interview.
Yeah, what's there to get nervous of on a Zoom
Yeah.
interview? Like
Like,
there's seen I didn't get nervous for any of those. Like in person, I still got like
yeah,
a little
it's
bit of
like
butterflies in my
even if like
stomach.
you like know you can have the conversation, you're still like, "Ooh, like I'm a little scared for a minute."
Yeah,
Like it's it,
for sure.
so I think it just kind of depends. Like, I think a lot of people who don't have the best social skills are the ones that don't really want to go in anywhere. And a lot of the people that have a more outgoing personality or want that interaction to kind of break up their days, not to have like kind of the same day over and over again, want the in person.
No doubt. Well, that was good discussion on that. I do have another one here from the Bloomberg Close. U.S. retail sales rose less than expected in May, a sign of consumer strain. Even so, the nation's central bank may need to wait, in quotation, quarters for data justifying a rate cut. St. Louis Fed Chief Alberto Musalem said, while um, Adriana Kugler expects that to happen by the end of the year. And that's again from the Bloomberg Close. Basically, what I got from that is just the economy is giving us the data that we want, and the Fed wants to see that sales are slowing, inflation's slowing, the economy is weakening so that we can start the interest cut cycle. But it just hasn't been good enough yet to move the needle. And we're kind of in a wait and see stage, waiting on more data points to come out and more Fed speak to come out to know what's going to go on over the rest of the year. So, just as a review and a conclusion for me and my portfolio, I'm kind of in sit tight mode, just watching the markets, taking deeper dives into the portfolio, reading articles. I'm going to keep the same format for a while. So, I'll do the portfolio update, go over the dividends, cover any earnings reports that went on, do a little micro deep dive like I did today, and then a little macro update with the current events, and then review like this. Overall, I'm very happy with the portfolio so far. I'm happy for two main reasons. It hasn't been as volatile as the market, which was something I set out and talked about in earlier episodes, where when the S&P goes up, my portfolio should go up less as a percentage, and when the S&P goes down, my portfolio should go down less as a percentage. Less volatility is what I'm looking for. I'm just trying to preserve capital, but it is also still in the positive, and we have our first dividends coming up. So some positive things have been going on, and we will have more to report next week. So that's all I got for you guys.
I love it. I don't think I have any other questions. I think I asked all mine throughout.
Me too.
Cool.
All right, me?
Means you're up.
Okay. All right, start mine off with my weekly stats. So starting off with Cooking Depot, I posted 8 videos in 7 days. So I did post 2 videos in one day. I forget what day it was, but I posted 2 in one, and honestly did not see any difference in views. So I know we've talked about this quite a bit, but honestly, more so for my own like burnout sake of it, just keeping it to 1 for now. I like had this conversation with myself in my head a bunch of times, whether I wanted to stick to 1, whether I wanted to open up to more, what I wanted to do. And honestly, I'm just saying my minimum is I need to post 1. If there's a day that I have something else that I want to post and there's more than one thing that I want to post in the same day, sure, I'll post both. But for now, I'm just going to stick with the minimum of 1 video per day, and then anything on top of that is great. So I posted 8 videos, and out of those 8 videos in the last 7 days, I got 142,000 views, 5,451 likes, and an additional.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Are these stats just in the last 7 days, or are
Yes.
these cumulative?
It's just 8 days.
So you had 142,000 views just in the past 7 days.
Yes.
That's really good. Okay, keep going.
5,451 likes and an additional 298 followers. So I have 2,004 followers currently on my Cooking Depot TikTok. So my video yesterday that I posted had the highest number of views of the videos that I posted this week, with 649 views. So I know like that sounds crazy considering I had 142,000 views compared to the highest video I posted this week only had 649. But my dipping oil video took off again, and I had my chili cheese dip video took off as well. 2 of the videos, like last week whenever I was talking about how I had a low week last week and the week before was a really good week, the 2 videos that took off, one of the 2, the chili cheese dip, was from that week. And then obviously the dipping oil was my biggest one of all time. So the dipping oil video is now at almost 700,000. It's at like 683,000 views. And my chili cheese dip is at around like 61,000 views.
Hell yeah.
So yeah. So most of the views and likes and stuff are from my dipping oil video that was over a month ago now, and my chili cheese dip that was like 2 weeks ago now.
It's cool. Like I can see like when I'm reposting like every like video that you have, like I can see like which friends like out of mine like liked your stuff, reposted your stuff as well. Like
That's cool. I didn't know that.
yeah, it's really cool. I noticed it the other day. I was like, "Wait, I could see like they like that and like followed you." I was like, "That's cool."
That's cool.
Yeah.
And so then for Cooking Depot on Instagram over the last 7 days, I had 1,360 accounts reached, 71 likes, and -1 followers. I went from 89 to 88. So I'm down 1 follower, which is just interesting. It is not like anything to get down about, but it's just the first time that I've had a week where I've actually gone down followers on any platform or any account. So just something interesting to note there. That's all the Cooking Depot stuff that I have in terms of Mern. I posted 4 total videos. So Mern, my requirements, I'm posting at least 2 videos per week. 1 Dine or Don't video, one of my restaurant review series, and then 1 just general lifestyle content, stuff like that. And I actually got 2 Dine or Don'ts in, which I briefly mentioned last week that I technically had the Dine or Don't posted last week because I posted it on like Thursday or something, but we pushed back the day that we filmed. So I have 2 Dine or Don'ts posted this past week and then 2 kind of lifestyle random videos posted. So 4 total videos on Mern. And on TikTok, over the last 7 days, I had 1,485 views, 94 likes, and 5 additional followers, getting me up to 43 followers. And then on Instagram, over the last 7 days for Mern, I had 1,623 accounts reached, which is interesting because if you look at my accounts reached on Mern,
I was just typing. It's really interesting that the Mern account reached more accounts
yeah,
than the Cooking Depot, even though the Cooking Depot had way more posts and views and likes
Yeah.
and all types of interactions.
23 likes and 1 additional follower, up to 13 followers on Instagram for Mern. So overall, I would consider that a good week. I mean, much better than the stats that I had last week. Not over the moon about the specific stats for the videos that I posted this week alone, but I mean, just going to keep doing what I'm doing, like I said last week. So that's it stats wise. Got lots of different random things that I am going to talk about here. First one being using artificial intelligence for a variety of different things. So one of the videos that I filmed this week for my 4th of July menu, I needed cocktail sauce, but I didn't want to buy cocktail sauce because I was only going to use it that one time. And I know you can make cocktail sauce out of ketchup and horseradish, which I needed the horseradish for the other part of the recipe, so I needed to buy that anyways. So I was like, I wonder if I can just like type in ChatGPT what the correct ratio is, because that's all I really needed to know, like how much ketchup versus horseradish should I put together to make the cocktail sauce. And it was actually crazy what the result is that I got. Hold on, let me find it in here. Not only did it give me the ratio, so I typed in what's the ratio of ketchup versus horseradish, and it gave me the answer right off the bat at the top. 3 parts ketchup to 1 part horseradish. Then right below it, detailed recipe for cocktail sauce goes into ingredients, instructions for how to make it, tips for how to make it different spice level, different consistency level, storage, all kinds of different things. Customizing the sauce if you want more sweetness to it, extra tang to it, serving suggestions, like a whole thing just by asking ChatGPT what's the correct ratio of ketchup to horseradish to make cocktail sauce, which I thought was crazy. And then the second thing I used AI for was I had 2 really ripe bananas that I needed to use. And I've made plenty of things with bananas. I've made pancakes using bananas. I make cookies with bananas all the time that are like a very, very basic recipe. This past week, I made banana bread that had Nutella in it. Like, I've made many of things with bananas. I just needed a new recipe that I hadn't made before. So I was like, I'm just going to type in ChatGPT, like, I have 2 bananas that I need to use. Give me a recipe. And so at first, it did give me a recipe. I just wasn't crazy about it. I forget what was in the first one that like threw me off, that it was an ingredient that I didn't have and didn't really want to buy. So I was like, give me another one. And then the second one, it had like chia seeds or something weird in it. I was like, okay, I don't want this. So I just need to be a little bit more specific. I was like, give me a cookie recipe that uses 2 bananas. And the rest,
How amazing is it that it is conversational in that
it's
aspect?
crazy. And so then the recipe that I got, it gave me healthy banana oatmeal cookies recipe, listed out all the ingredients, instructions, how to preheat, mixing the wet ingredients, dry ingredients, like the normal stuff in a recipe, tips for storage, customization, gluten-free option. Um,
It's actually
it,
insane how spot on it
it's
is and how in
crazy.
depth. Yeah, it's
And
at
yeah,
the click of a button.
and like it talks about the nutritional stuff. So it says bananas provide natural sweetness and are a great source of potassium and dietary fiber. Oats, rich in fiber, like it goes on and on just like about the different ingredients in it. And so then I'm like, what the heck? Like, this seems like a really good recipe. Like, I want to tag whoever made this up. Like, and so I literally like typed in ChatGPT. I'm like, where did you find this recipe? Thinking like they just took it from a website. And this is what it said whenever I asked ChatGPT, where did you find this recipe? The healthy banana oatmeal cookies recipe I shared is a combination of common ingredients and techniques from my knowledge of healthy baking, aiming to create a balanced and nutritious treat using ripe bananas. It integrates widely known elements from various healthy baking sources and trends. The approach to using bananas, oats, and natural sweeteners is a standard practice in many recipes which collectively inspire this cookie recipe. However, this specific recipe is not directly sourced from a single publication, but rather formulated based on general culinary knowledge and common healthy baking practices. Is that not crazy?
It is. I use it every day. I use it for work a lot, especially now that I'm in my new role. I use it for literally every marketing piece. I use it for emails. I use it for general opinions. Anytime I'm thinking in my head about an idea or a strategy or something, I always have the browser of ChatGPT open and I'll just type in what I'm thinking and I'll just see what it comes back. And it's always helpful and it's always spot on and it's always so in depth and brings up data and research and links to other things that I never even knew about or even thought about. And I'm like, this is just a resource that you can't even fathom before you actually start using it and understand the power and technology that it is.
It's crazy, but also it makes me somewhat concerned. So my next bullet point that I wanted to just say is like, is it a good thing or a bad thing for content creators? But honestly, like, is it a good thing or a bad thing for everything, period?
Human beings,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Because there's so many good things to come out of it, but it's scary. Like, even the video that I sent you guys the other day, that there are now multiple different platforms that can edit a long video like that into 10
Hmm.
different short reels. For someone like myself that's like genuinely putting in the work to try to make quality content, that is like kind of like,
Scary.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think personally when it comes to a lot of AI, like I genuinely do get very like scared of everything it really can do because again, like it can be really good for us, but it could also be like the end for us because
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we're going to rely so much on it. And all the people again like you Amanda like that are trying to come up with new recipes for people like this that and the other and being a content creator like it's so like it's taking away all of the hard work or all of the things that you're doing because I can do it like that.
Mm-hmm. Kyle, any other comments on AI before I move on?
So many, but we'll put a pin in it for now.
Yeah, AI is like insane. All right, next up, I have talked about in past episodes the whole storage issue on my phone. I got to a point this week where my phone was being so laggy. I like literally couldn't do anything without, I couldn't even open messages to send a text without sitting there for like 10 seconds and waiting for it to open. So I was like, all right, something's got to give here. So I was trying to play around with the TikTok app and seeing if I could like clear my view history, figure out a way that I could get rid of some of the history because like I talked about in a past episode, the math wasn't mathing. My settings said that TikTok was using 217 gigabytes of storage on my phone. But whenever I would go within the app, it was like my drafts were like 6 gigs and then my cache, however you say it, was like 600 something megs. So not even a full gig. And whatever the other thing was, I forget what the title was around the same. So like roughly 7 to 8 gigs. Okay. And if you say that's one account, then my other account, maybe 16 gigs in total. When why the heck is it saying it's using 217 gigs of storage on my phone? So I'm like Googling like what my options are. I'm like, how do I make it so TikTok doesn't take so much storage on my phone? And a lot of the people said just deleting the app. I'm like, all right, well,
Should ask ChatGPT.
I know the app isn't going away in the next 5 minutes, so I can delete it and re-download it if I do it right now. I might as well do it and like clear it out, and then hopefully I don't have to do it again when the app's actually gone if it ever comes to that. But so I deleted the app off my phone, and as soon as I deleted and re-downloaded the app, immediately my storage that TikTok was using went from 217 gigabytes down to 633 megabytes.
Yeah, that's insane.
Damn.
Insane. So I don't know where the extra storage was coming from, but if you ever need to clear some storage on your phone, just delete the TikTok app and re-download it. It's
Don't have it at all.
a pain in the ass
no issue
to
for me.
re-log in, but it's whatever. It does delete your drafts though, so just be mindful of that. If you do go that route, you either want to save your drafts or post them before you delete and re-download, one of the two.
Good to know.
Just some general TikTok update kind of things. I've noticed that when you're watching a video, and I've noticed it's especially when it's people that have a huge following, at the end of the video, Lex, I don't know if you've noticed this, it'll say ad will start in 5 seconds, whatever it is, in the top right corner. And it almost like doesn't totally finish the video, it feels like. Because like I'm watching, waiting for it to be done, and then I would skip over it so I don't have to watch the ad. But it's like to a point where the video doesn't totally end before the ad starts, which I found kind of interesting. Have you noticed that?
No, that's really weird. Huh.
Yeah. One thing that I wish TikTok would add is autocorrect when it comes to captioning things.
How do they not?
They
have
don't.
that?
They
Yeah.
don't. And literally, like, I find myself
What?
typing things, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I don't know if that's how you." And I literally go
You
and
type
like
it in
type
your
it in my
fucking
messages so
messages
that like it
first, yeah.
autocorrects. It's such a pain in the ass. Like, why do they not have autocorrect? But they do.
That's insane.
They do when it comes to like captioning. When you go to type text on your video, they have autocorrect. It's only in the caption that they don't.
That makes
That's
no
so weird.
sense.
Yeah. Crazy.
Interesting.
And then the other thing that like randomly popped to my brain this week is the whole playlist thing, because I was like, dang, like I really want to get to that point. Like, what is it going to take? What do I have to get to be able to have playlists on my page? And I just quickly Googled, so I don't know if this is totally accurate, but the couple of links that I looked at say that most often you need the 10,000 follower requirement in order to have the feature to make playlists. But like the links, it was like not really certain. It was like sometimes people have the ability to do it beforehand. Sometimes people even hit the 10,000, they don't have it. So I don't really know, but
Quick
approximately,
interjection.
yeah, go ahead.
It'll be really weird when it starts being instead of I Googled to I chat GPT.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing that I go to Google for anymore. I have the chat GPT in my bottom on my phone where I used to have Google. Because anything that I would Google, I now just go to chat GPT for,
Mm.
which is
Yeah.
interesting. Like all of the things that you've said, like I Googled this or I looked up that, I would have looked up all those things on chat
I like
GPT.
don't even have it on my phone.
I don't have it on my phone either. I only use it.
I use it, I was going to say over 100 times a day, but it's minimum 10 to 20 times a day. And it's actually 100 plus a lot
Yeah,
of
I
days.
don't even have it on my phone. I
Crazy.
genuinely, I only used it whenever I was working at Resnick. And it was like maybe 3
Wow.
times, and I haven't used it since.
I've used it for making cover letters and resume stuff and
Yeah.
a lot of that kind of thing. So just kind of a run through of the different things that I accomplished this week, kind of the things that I talked about wanting to do last week. I filmed all of my 4th of July content. Yay! I filmed all of my grilled cheese series, and I filmed even like a handful more on top of that. It's like maybe like 4 more on top of that. I was freaking busy. There was like 2 to 3 days that I was filming like 4 videos per day. I was literally in my kitchen all day. The amount of food that I had in my fridge, and yeah, I cooked so much, and I had, honestly, I hate to say it, but a lot of
gonna
food that I
like you
threw
being
away. I
home.
need to figure out a way that I can like donate food whenever I make stuff that I know I'm not going to eat all of, that I can donate somewhere to
yeah,
like a
that's
homeless
awesome.
shelter or something.
Yeah. I was
Because
about to say there's definitely a place you can take it nearby, like a shelter.
yeah. So I need
Don't
to
have
look
to
into
worry
that
about
because
that
the
when
amount of
I'm
cooking I
living
did in
down
that short
there.
period of time living by myself, I'm just literally never going to eat all that food.
Yeah.
You're not gonna have to worry about that when I'm living down there, Chief.
Well, that's only for a month and a half. Like the rest of my life, I need to figure out something else.
True.
I'm just messing with you.
But I'll take
It is gonna be
that as
nice
a
having you
challenge.
home. It'll be nice having you home for 2 weeks. I'll be able to eat all of Cooking Depot's food.
Mhm. And it'll be nice having you here so I can have more mouths to feed.
For sure.
I also pinned 2 videos. I know last week I kind of talked about whether I wanted to pin like my most viewed or do like a intro kind of thing, talk about myself. I didn't film the intro thing mostly because I honestly just like didn't have my shit together. Like my hair literally wasn't washed until today from like Saturday. I was just like a grease ball and I wasn't in the right place to film an intro vid. So I at least pinned my 2 most popular ones, which was after they kind of blew up. So I don't think it had anything to do with the fact that that was where most of my views came from this week, because I only did that like yesterday, pinned them. So I pinned the bread dipping oil and the chili cheese dip. So at least when someone views my page, like the first thing they see is almost 700,000 views.
They're like, damn, who's that?
I briefly said earlier that I posted 2 in one day, and the video that I posted was just like a cute little few different clips of foods that I had made and didn't post, and had a cute little caption on it, like just remember to have fun in the kitchen kind of thing. I linked my accounts Instagram and TikTok to each other, like my Cooking Depot through Instagram and TikTok, and then my Mern TikTok and Instagram. The nice part about linking through TikTok is there's an actual button that you can click to link your Instagram, and then it literally shows up like right under your bio. It literally says Instagram, and then they can just click on that button and it goes right to your Instagram. On Instagram, they don't have that nice of a feature to link back to TikTok. So on Instagram, what you have to do is you have to just like copy the link to your TikTok and put it in the links option, which it gives you. So like you copy and paste the link in the link option, and then right below it, it tells you the title of it. So I typed in TikTok thinking it would just look on my page as TikTok and they could click on it and it would take them right to TikTok. But for whatever reason, like that name is kind of irrelevant because it just shows up as the full link. So it says like TikTok, blah, 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 like with all the different numbers and letters, whatever the heck the whole link is. So it doesn't look super pretty, but I at least have them linked. So my Instagram is linked on my TikTok. My TikTok is linked on my Instagram for both Cooking Depot and Mern. I did make a Facebook account for Cooking Depot.
Hell yeah.
So I made the account, and then like after I made the account, I noticed like literally as I hit create, I noticed on the main page that it was like create a page for your business or blah blah blah. Like there was a couple different options, and I was like, oh crap, I should have hit that. And so then I went back and like clicked it, and it took me back to the login page. So then I logged in, and then it made my page through that. So the way Facebook works now, which I guess I probably could have done this through my personal Facebook, I just didn't know. Your Facebook account and your Facebook page are two different things. So like I made a Cooking Depot account, and then I have a Cooking Depot page that's linked through my Cooking Depot account.
Yeah, that's how it was even back when we did Step Bros. We had a Step Bros Services page.
Yeah.
And then a Step Bros Services account. And the page was where like people posted, we posted, and a lot of that stuff was. But our account was where like we had people following us, and we had like our photos on there and our website and like all that stuff.
Yeah. So I haven't posted anything yet on it, so I don't know. I just did this yesterday, or I think I only finalized it like late last night. So I haven't posted anything yet on it, so I don't know how all that will work, but I will definitely keep you guys updated on how I like posting stuff to Facebook. I did try linking it to my Instagram, and that was a freaking pain in the ass. So my personal Facebook, I couldn't even remember what email I used because like I made my Facebook in 2010 maybe, I don't know.
Mhm.
And whenever I tried to go to like see if I could add an account, I was trying to go into like settings and accounts and whatever. It was like trying to make me log in. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what email I use. So I like typed in the email that I thought I used, and it showed me like 3 different emails, and it showed like the first letter and the last letter and then the at, you know? And the one was my college email. The one I was like, I literally have no idea. And then the other one was the email that I wanted it to be. And so I finally figured all that out. The second one that I had no idea was Dad's company, but it was like his name dash notices at, and then the website. I was like, what the heck is this? Like, why is this linked with my Facebook? So like it was a whole thing. And then I couldn't even figure out how to add the new account on my phone. I could just see it on my computer. So I tried to link it via the computer. I logged in my Cooking Depot Instagram on the computer. I logged into my Cooking Depot on Facebook on the computer, and I tried to link it that way. And then I like looked at my phone to see if it like transferred, to see if it actually worked. And when I went to my Instagram on my phone, where it says to link to Facebook, it still said like connect, which made it seem like it wasn't actually connected yet. But whenever I posted my video tonight, right before we got on here, whenever I went to hit post, it did say, do you want to post this to Facebook too? So I think it did work. I didn't want to start off with the video I posted tonight just based on what I posted. But
So you posted something to Facebook, is what you're saying?
no, I didn't. I didn't do it. But when I went to post tonight, it gave me the option. Like it did work.
And why didn't you hit yes?
Just because of the video I posted. The video I posted is based on what you see on my page. That's not what I always eat. But I haven't posted anything on my Facebook. So I don't want to start with that on my Facebook. You know what I mean? But so starting tomorrow, if it does it again tomorrow, I will hit yes and I'll see if it works. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let us know and we can check to see like if it actually does post.
Yeah. But that was the whole thing. It took me way too freaking long. I spent way too much time messing around with that. And then same thing with YouTube. Making the account was ridiculously easy as long as you have a Gmail, which my Gmail is my Cook and Depot Gmail, so that was super easy. But then when you make your YouTube account, it like goes through a couple different things, and the last one is to do your little profile picture, to do your banner, and then to have your watermark. The watermark you have the option to either put on at the beginning of the video, the end of the video, or for the duration of the video if you want. And messing around with the right size to make and this also goes with Facebook too, because Facebook has a border, which I don't have a border on my Instagram there it is.
Aww.
There she is. So like scroll up. Do you see that the header at the top? That was a freaking pain in the ass. A pain in the ass. Getting it the right size so that like Cook and Depot was actually centered. And I even typed in Canva. I was like, Facebook header. And they have it that comes up. But then whenever I did it the first time, it was like, make sure you have something that's less than 6 gigabytes. It was literally such a pain in the ass. But I got it done. I have my header on Facebook. I have my header on YouTube. I got it all done. So all of the accounts are made. There's just nothing actually posted on Facebook or YouTube. Thanks, Kyle.
I got you.
And the last thing that I did,
follow you.
the last thing that I did, which was a very minor thing, I just updated my bio on Cook and Depot on my Instagram and TikTok. I made it kind of like the same style that I have on my Mern accounts, where I have like an emoji with each little statement. So I have like my little silverware emoji, I like to cook, my little like hammer emoji, whatever it is, I like to DIY, and then a little mail emoji with my email. So I was freaking busy. I got a lot of shit done. And I know it doesn't like look like a lot when you make the list, but it took me actually a lot of time. Now what are you doing?
How do I mention them on your page?
Well, I don't know that I even followed them yet.
I just did.
Yeah, but I just followed them, so it should come up.
It should be like Cookin' as my first name and Depot as my last name.
Yeah. Cookin' space and then Depot.
There it is.
Yeah. Would you look at that?
Whoop
whoop. Like on my Instagram and my TikTok, I literally have 3 or 4 accounts. On my Instagram, I have my private, I have Mern, I have Cook and Depot, and I have 3 Path Profits. I have all 4 logged into my Instagram, so I can like click back and forth between the profiles. And on my TikTok, I have the 3. I just need to figure out how to do that on Facebook. Like that would solve this whole ramble that I just went on the last 5 minutes would be solved if I could figure out how to freaking do it on my phone.
There's definitely a way. No, there is a way because I'm on a different Facebook. I have multiple. I'm logged into multiple Facebooks.
How the hell do you do it? The only option that I see, it says create new profile, and I already had my thing made at that point.
So then you have to click then go to account center. at the bottom.
All I see is settings and privacy.
No. So go like on your Instagram page to like your menu
My Instagram?
or your Facebook to your menu. You see that?
Yes, that's where I am.
So then click on like the little down arrow,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can see my Instagram, the other Facebook I have, and then my Facebook. And then at the bottom it says go to account center.
Mine doesn't say go to account center.
Because then you can
Maybe I need to update my
different
app.
profiles.
Mine does not say account center. I'll mess around with it. I think I might need.
Yeah,
to
because I can switch to the other Facebook within like a second that I have on my phone.
Yeah, that would solve all my problems. But this is the kind of shit that people don't realize. Like, I was messing around with like, literally for, I don't know, an hour maybe, just trying to. I'm like getting so pissed off, and eventually I just like slammed my computer. I'm like, I need to go make dinner. It's like 9 p.m. Anyways, oh man, I still have a bunch of shit that I want to talk about. So I did a little bit of research. I was watching some podcasts. The one thing that the one girl was talking about was Amazon Inspire, which I didn't even know was a thing. In the Amazon app, the little options that you have that run along the bottom of your app, the one that's like second to the left, it looks like it's kind of like a diamond star kind of thing. If you click on it, it's almost like Reels on Amazon. It's like Reels that is just review videos that people make for Amazon products, which is cool. Not sure if it's something that I'm going to get into, because if you're just posting review videos, you're not going to make money off of it. You have to actually be in the Amazon Associates program, which I potentially could get accepted to the Associates program. She was saying that it's not really clear on what the requirements are to get into it.
I'm in it.
Sometimes
It's not hard. Remember how I talked
yeah?
about that at the beginning and how I said like I signed up for that, and then
No.
like they're like affiliate program. Like you can like
Yeah.
It's not hard. I can help you sign up for it.
Well, I know where to go and how to like hit sign up, but I
Oh,
just haven't done it. I was been kind of like waiting to get more of a following. But if you're in it, then
yeah, you
I
like
should have no
you
problem.
don't have to
Okay.
like have
Because she was saying like sometimes I've seen people with 1,000 followers get accepted. Sometimes I've seen people with 1,000 followers not get accepted. Like, it just all depends. But if that's the case, then that is something that I'm definitely going to look more into this upcoming week for sure. One of the other things she was talking about in her podcast is the difference between sponsored versus paid partnerships, which she like didn't really talk about the difference. She just like briefly mentioned that there's the two different options. So quick Google search, or I guess I should have typed in Chat GPT. Google search said affiliate partners are typically paid on a performance basis, earning a commission for promoting your products or services, while sponsors provide financial or other support in exchange for the opportunity to promote their own product or services. So what I take from that is affiliate would be like based on how many people click on your link is how much money you're making, and paid partnership is you're getting paid the set amount of dollars for this post regardless of what happens after it.
Yeah.
For sure.
And another thing she was talking about is a lot of companies now on their websites, they actually have a separate email listed for people that want to be affiliate marketers, for people that want to create content and work with that brand, to contact them. So that's something to note, which I'll kind of get into a little bit more in the next little section, and that not to shy away from sliding in brands DMs. Have no shame of DMing a brand if you can't find if you can't find an email to contact a brand, then DMing them on Instagram is always an option too.
Yeah.
No doubt.
So that's everything that I got from podcast wise. So then from that research, I made a list of 5 different brands that I potentially would want to work with, 5 brands that I genuinely really love their products. And 3 of the 5 are smaller brands. The other 2 are like huge companies, one being Walmart. So what I did is I at least followed all of the brands on my Cook and Depot accounts. And I contacted the 3 smaller ones. I'm not going to say their names just because I don't know what's going to transpire from this yet. But I contacted the 3 smaller companies via email. And actually, all of them, I found their emails from Instagram. So, like when I went to their Instagram account, you can click the contact button, and it had the email written out under the contact button, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
So I emailed those yesterday, I think, and I didn't hear anything today, at least whenever I checked. I think I checked at like 2. I haven't checked since then, my email. But I hadn't heard anything back yet today, but I'll keep you updated if I hear anything back. Like, not going to get my feelings hurt if I don't, but at least I like made the first attempt to try to have a partnership with a brand, which I thought was pretty exciting. And in doing all of that, I also made a little cute signature for my email for my Cook and Depot. So my signature has like my little logo in it, my name, my links for my TikTok and my Instagram.
That's cute.
So other things that just like take time that you don't realize
Yeah.
actually take time. But now those things are done that I don't have to worry about in the future kind of thing. So
Are you going to reach out to other brands if you don't hear back from these 5?
yes, I just would need to think of other brands that I'm interested in working with. I don't want to work with brands just to work with a brand.
Yeah.
I want it to be a brand that I genuinely like and want to use and work with. I'm not going to work with a brand just for the money aspect of it.
Yep.
It has to be something that I actually like, you know?
Yeah.
Not to sound cheesy, but so I briefly mentioned that Walmart was one of the 5. Obviously, Walmart is a place that I shop at weekly, if not multiple times per week. So I was looking on their website a little bit, and they actually have a contact thing that says like media personnel, fill this out. And I haven't done it yet. Strictly, I guess not strictly. I don't know why I haven't done it yet, but like journalists do it, reporters fill this out. It also has the option for content creators. So like they have a separate spot on their website as well to fill out, kind of like a little survey, like what's your name? When do you need this information by? What do you need the information for, etc.
That's cool.
So I just thought that was cool that they have a separate place on their website for that kind of thing. And then there was another company that was cookware, like pots and pans stuff that I'd like to work with. That was also kind of a bigger company. I wanted to start with like the smaller ones. And on their website, they had an actual affiliate marketing link that you could just click on and apply. And it had like the terms and conditions. It said 8% commission. Like it literally went through all the details, had like the terms and conditions, all of it. The only reason why I hadn't finished that, because I was going to do that one and make it 4, is that I had to link my Instagram, and my Instagram had to be linked to a Facebook, which is what pushed me to make the Facebook.
Oh my god.
Fuck yeah.
So that will be coming. I just haven't done it yet because I went through all the shit with making my Facebook and it was a hot mess. But so I do want to do that, and that seems very easy. Like, don't know if they decline anyone, but
I mean, that's kind of how Amazon's was whenever I did like their affiliate program. Like you just like
Yeah.
fill out the information, and
Yeah.
then like if you purchase a product and then you send someone their link, like the link from your like page or whatever, and like they buy it, then you get a commission off of that.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I feel like obviously it might be different with like I don't know how big that company is and whatnot, but maybe I don't really feel like they would turn anyone away.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're getting a promotion out of it.
And I would get free. It literally said that I could get the free stuff. Like I could, and these pots and pans are freaking expensive, man. If nothing else, I'd do it just to get the free pots and pans. But yeah, so I do want to do that. I just kind of got halted because then I got down the rabbit hole of messing with the Facebook shit, and I just didn't ever go back to it. So, upcoming to-do list for the next 7 days. I want to get back to doing the TikTok shop links. I have been slacking in that regard. So I want to post at least one. My requirement for myself this week is post at least one video with a TikTok shop link. I want to do DIY canvas art because I leave on Wednesday. So I'll only be here the next week, and I want to do at least one more DIY before I leave. And honestly, I want to make just like tomorrow when I wake up a to-do list of everything that I want to do each day. Being off on summer has really like given me a taste of what this would be like if I did this full time.
Do you use Google Calendar and Google To Dos?
No.
Unreal resource.
Okay.
Check it out.
Okay.
I use Google Calendars and Google To Dos for everything.
I use
You can
the
create.
notes app and like paper and pencil.
Yeah, that's so good, but this is so decentralized. Like you can pull this up on your phone,
Yeah.
iPad, computer, anywhere that you have internet, you can pull this up. And like there's a good widget for both on your home screen, which I do. So like on my home screen on my iPhone, as soon as you pull up and like I open my first screen, I have my to-dos here and my calendar here, the two widgets. And they obviously are coincide with one another. So if you have time related tasks, those also can show up on your calendar. And then your calendar, obviously, you have like events as well that aren't required action. But there's cool, you can make multiple lists. Like I have my personal tasks, I have CFE tasks, I have three past profits tasks, etc. So like you can sort your tasks for different responsibility buckets. And they will show up on your calendar if they're dated and timed as well, which is really nice that they work together like that.
Okay. I'll definitely have to look into
So
that.
check it out.
Yeah, I just like
Google News, Google Calendar.
I have so many things going through my brain, so many things that I want to do, but I like need a routine. I love not going to work every day, but I need to like get my ass out of bed and have this that I need to check off my to-do list. I need that kind of schedule because I've been a little bit of a lazy shit. But that's about it. Otherwise, I just kept my goals the same. I want to make my first dollar bill and get to 10,000 followers on TikTok. You guys have any questions, comments, concerns before I give my little shout out for myself?
I feel like I kind of asked and or said my comments, concerns along the way. So
Only thing else I have was I love the one per day rule, but I agree, don't beat yourself up for burnout. I think it's wise to aim for that as the rule and the gold standard. And if you want and have the bandwidth to post more, do it. But even if you miss a day, I wouldn't beat yourself up. Just make it a rule to not miss 2 days in a row.
I like that.
Really great stats, impressive progress and consistency. It is really interesting to see the MERN account dynamic with accounts reached, but all the other stats didn't support that. It was just, that's a really interesting stat. But either way, over 3,000 accounts reached in a week. That's a great stat. Definitely at the point where you're reaching enough people that you should be starting to earn income of some sorts from that kind of reach.
Yeah.
So I think the make the first dollar is a good goal. And I think that will happen before the 10,000 followers on TikTok. So keep moving on that. Last thing is I think you need to leverage ChatGPT and AI even more. I think it's a great thing for creators. I don't think it is a negative. I think it's something that the more you learn how to leverage it and use it and utilize it effectively, the more it's going to benefit you and give you an edge over other creators. And I think it's either an embrace or die mentality with this kind of stuff. Like this is where everything is moving, whether you like it or not. So it's embrace it and get good at it, or get behind the curve. So I think
I hate to admit it, but
start
you're right.
start using it. That's another thing. Build me a calendar for the next week. It's a simple text that you can put into ChatGPT, and as it learns you, I don't know if you have an account or if you're just
I have an
using the
account.
like
Yeah.
web based. Yeah, because as it learns you, like it knows your previous conversations. So like if you say make me a calendar for my Mern page and you've already had conversations about it, it will tailor that calendar based off of your personal conversations in the past
Yeah.
with it,
That's cool.
which is unreal.
Mhm.
And it keeps every prompt that you've sent it in a conversation string,
On the
kind of
left.
like how
On the left.
on the
Yeah.
left, you can always refer back to that and even go back into the conversation and continue the conversation at any time, furthering the conversation if like you got what you needed out of it, and then it's just sitting over there on the left. 2 weeks later you were like, oh shit, let me go back to this conversation. You had a new question that you wanted to ask, and it just keeps on going. And then as you're starting new conversations with it with new prompts, it's always referring back to those other conversations as a knowledge base to more personalize and curate its responses to you, which is
Yep.
amazing. So the more you use it, the more it's going to be accurate and helping you. It's amazing.
Well, don't forget to follow me on TikTok and Instagram, cooking.depot, cooking without the G, cooking.depot.
And Facebook.
And I guess Facebook and YouTube now too. And then Mern is my more lifestyle kind of content. Mern is my nickname, MERN. Mern __ is the username on all platforms.
Anything Cricket Co, baby. All right. That does it for today's episode of the Three Path Profits podcast. We want to thank you guys for listening and encourage you to leave a comment or question to help us improve moving forward. We'll be posting episodes every Friday, so please stay tuned for those. And make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any episodes or any important updates. If you did enjoy the podcast, please tell a family or friend member that you think would enjoy. And also, please make sure to check out our social media pages, TikTok and Instagram at 3.path.profits. We appreciate all your support, and we'll catch you next week.